Kasparian and Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks are having a meltdown over RFK Jr. dropping out of the presidential race and endorsing Donald J. Trump. Thank you so much for watching Bring the Asteroid. Make sure you like today's video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it.
You know, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walt's presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
That is
her face. She is mad. It might be her time of the month with how mad she's looking already.
RFK Jr.'s running mate, Nicole Shanahan, and they did it. That's what they did. They're ending their campaign and they're endorsing Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing RFK Jr. has done so far, in my opinion.
So, look, I'm not surprised by this at all. I don't know why everybody's going around surprised.
What?
Really? Why? Why are you surprised?
Okay, continue. I'm going to let you continue.
I just love when they fight. You know, it's like an old married couple who just bicker over everything. They do this all the time. It's funny. And I'm actually happy to see it because it makes watching them at least somewhat entertaining.
Because, look,
he ran as a Democrat at first.
I know.
And then decided, okay, this isn't the path that's going to help me win, so let me try doing it as an independent.
Yeah.
And maybe they've decided to endorse Trump because they're angry with the undemocratic behavior of the Democratic Party during the primaries and the fact that they fought tooth and nail to keep RFK Jr. off the ballots. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So, look, I think that Bobby Kennedy Jr. was a lifelong Democrat, and so that's why he started the Democratic Party, and it makes sense. And he's for, make sure of fight climate change, and there's a bunch of things that like housing and anti-corruption that he's really good on, and progressive and Democratic. But yeah, his main issues are like vaccines and hating the elites, etc. And on a lot of those issues, he's much closer to Trump, right? And most of his voters.
What's interesting is, yes, he is closer to the conservative aisle because of his stance on vaccines. However, Trump was very pro-COVID vaccine and often prided himself and, gave himself a pat on the back for Operation Warp Speed, which is a major criticism for those on the right that don't love and have an undying, support of him. So it still is interesting.
Voting base was Trump. It was about 60% Trump already, according to the polling. The Democrats always freak out. They're like, drive him out of the race. First of all, you drove him out of the primary. You could have ended it right there. Instead, you drove him to a third party race. It was a dumb decision. Now he's taking more votes away from Trump than before he dropped out. You still wanted to drive him out of the race because you hate competition. It's maddening. But given how much the Democrats have, hated him, mocked him, smeared him, and he agrees with Trump on anti-elite. Again, Trump is not actually anti-elite, but he at least has voters.
And that's a valid point from Cenk. Trump ran his original campaign in 2016 was, I'm not a politician. I'm fully funding myself. I'm a billionaire, so I can fund my own campaign. So a lot of people loved him and related to him because, yes, maybe he's a billionaire. He's not necessarily one of us, but he's, I'll take a billionaire who's completely running off of his own ideas rather than someone that's fully funded from campaigns. You know what I mean? So, or all of these super PACs and all these different special interests. You know what I mean? So I do understand why RFK would kind of transfer over and align more with Trump in that sense.
In that direction, and the Democrats are viewed as the more elitist party. And given the vaccine thing is so huge for Bobby Kennedy Jr., and the Democrats will never, ever accept his point of view on that. So that.
Very true, very true. That is what made RFK Jr. stand out amongst everyone else running for president was his harsh stance against vaccines, for sure.
That's why it's not.
Am I agreeing with Cenk? What is going on?
not at all surprising that he goes to Trump. Hey, don't scroll away.
Oh my gosh. And you know, Cenk, you guys need to cut out these ads because they do way too many ads. So let me fast forward a little bit.
Democrats drive
Here we
me
go.
insane. Look, the elite.
Anna, girl, you look so tired. Doesn't she look tired? Like, she needs to take a nap. She needs a power girl nap. She needs her beauty sleep. I know that's not like a point you guys care about, but just looking at her, I'm like, dang, she is so fed up with the DNC, which, girl, I would be too. I would be too. Imagine like being a progressive and having to like put up or pretend to put up with and pretend to support Democrats in the DNC. Gosh, exhausting. Honestly, nauseating.
Elitist issue is a problem for Democrats.
Yeah.
It is. And
Yep.
it's not
The moral elitism that like we know what's best for everyone. We always take the moral high ground even though they actually don't.
it's not some made up thing that Trump is throwing around. It's real. You can see it in the voter base, right? The voter base for the Democratic Party used to be working class Americans, without a college degree. And now
Yeah.
those individuals have flocked over to the Republican side because the Democratic Party has become the party of the hyper educated, financially affluent party. Like that is what they represent. And that's a problem for them. It is. And I think that it informs some of the policies that we don't favor on the Democratic side, right? The handouts to corporations, the unwillingness to really fight for tax increases on corporations and the rich, like that kind of stuff, right? That's part of the reason why.
Ugh, I still will never get behind Democrats wanting to punish people for their success. Gosh, I hate it.
Kamala Harris, her proposal to raise taxes on corporations isn't to raise it back to what it was before Trump had cut the tax rate on corporations, which was 35%. She's decided to, go halfway and call for 28%.
Yeah, so look, this requires a quick history recap, right? So Democrats started as a party of labor. FDR actually gets things done for the average American, beloved 4 terms. JFK, LBJ continue that on the domestic front. But then the Democratic Party, and this is what I explain in Justice Coming, my book, starts to lose their way when corporate donations are now allowed by the Supreme Court in the late 1970s. Now, remember, the Republicans are always part of the big business, so they're taking in corporate money even when it was illegal. David Short has a really good podcast about this. So they continue to take money at this rate. The reason I'm telling you all this is that at some point among the professional management class, all the people that go to the Ivies and all that stuff, right? Almost all of them became like these technocrats, bureaucrats that went into the Democratic Party. Now, in the beginning, they used to go in the Democratic and Republican Party, and that's why they were corporate Republicans and corporate Democrats, and that's the way that it was for about 40 years straight. But then a new bunch of these PMCs, and Trump's not exactly in this category. He fits the category, but he's too dumb for the category. But PMCs like J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy decided, hey, you know what? It looks like the country's going in a populist direction. Let me get in on this scam. Now, the populism is not a scam. There's the right-wing voters are actually populist. Progressive voters are actually populist. But these guys go, oh, there's an angle here. And so the con men then go do fake populism. And they're following in Donald Trump's footsteps of fake populism. Donald Trump went there. Yeah, he went to the good schools, but he didn't earn any of that. He's not really in this crowd, but he just is just an old school con man. He's like, oh, they like populism? I'll give them populism, and then I'll get all the money and the power and the fame, right? So, but that has created a Republican Party that at least rhetorically is playing towards populism, even if it's a con, right? Whereas
and of course, Cenk is going to say that whatever Republicans are doing is a con. And I do think the populism on the Republican side does make sense. That's why RFK Jr. is endorsing Trump and not your extremely establishment woman, Kamala Harris. But hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Bring the Asteroid. Bye.